nice. Front to back, leader's garment. Quite happy.
It's alright, isn't it? Looks pretty good in that bad boy.
Excellent, I think the word you're looking for is. Look at that thing. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? Beautiful.
Now, only if you're ready for this.
Welcome back to the OTB podcast, New Zealand's original and still the best mountain bike podcast. We're back with part two with Sam Blenkinsop in the hot seat this week. Must have been probably about a year ago, Blenki, we had you on when the Crestline announcement happened. So welcome back, mate.
Yeah, cheers. It's been a while. Well,
yeah, it has. And joining in the co-host seat this week, not Red Dog, because I don't know, Red Dog might be out night riding or something, but Lester's stepped in. Thanks for stepping up, Lester.
Yeah, no worries, mate. It's only us who can't go night riding at the moment who stick around.
Yeah, it's hard to find good help sometimes.
And you're afraid of the dark, so you're always here.
That's true. I don't want to go out in the night. But brought to you by Troy Lee Designs, Smith Optics, and Filthy Bike Wash, as always. But Blenki, so it's been out for a bit and you've been on the bike, but Zerode this year. So, yeah, pretty cool to see you on a New Zealand brand.
Yeah. It's been cool. It's like I've told pretty much everyone, like I rode the bike in the season last year when I was riding for Crestline. So, like, pretty much rode that, did like 2 laps of Morzine. It was the one that and pretty much everyone thrashed it and had a ride on it. Pretty much, and it was like a pretty beaten up bike. And the first run I did on it, at the time I thought the Crestline that I was riding was really good and like that. And then I just did 1 lap on. In the first corner I hit, I was just like, what the hell? And then I just hit, because I'd ridden the track, because it was the track I was testing on in Morzine. It was the one I probably would have done 50 or no, say 1,000 runs on. It's the one we ride like every year, pretty much.
Yeah.
I've ridden all bikes on that track and kind of, like I said, I just hit the first corner and I was just like, what the hell? This thing is insane. And then read all the rough stuff and I was just like having so much fun on the bike. Literally did nothing but just jumped on it. It was just like one that Marshy'd kind of set up a little bit.
Yeah.
And just could do different stuff in the steep stuff that I could do on my bike. The first lap I just jumped into steep stuff, like this one drop. I remember just being able to like brake and the traction that it had, and just I felt, because I'd already done like, I'd say like 8 runs on my bike, so I was probably more fatigued, and then jumped on Zerode, and then I felt like I was fresh again, like it was everything that I was kind of feeling on my bike away. And then did 2 laps, and then I was just like kind of pissed off because I had to go back to the old bike, and then 2 more laps on my other bike, and I was just like, fuck. Kind of scratched my head, and then just had to ride the rest of the season on that bike. And now I've got kind of here, and talking to the Zerode guys. Obviously, I approached them because I was just like, I rode the bike, I liked it, and come to this, and I've just been riding the bike, and actually had like so much fun riding so far this year. Like, I've been doing heaps of riding lately. Like what I've done in the past. Like, I guess I've been lucky, like having the downhill track and the track behind stuff, and then been riding at Mount Hutt heaps. So I've just been riding heaps of different stuff. So I've just been enjoying that.
Yeah, and like I know it was probably when we rode together, like January or February or whenever that was in Christchurch, and I don't think you'd done too much time on it at that point, but I could definitely see you're enjoying yourself on it. Like, and it looked like the pace was coming along pretty good, so must be suiting you pretty well.
Yeah. I think that was like maybe my 3rd ride or something on it. I've been riding here. I did some time in Queenstown and stuff on it. It's just cool having that different feeling of a bike that I've kind of never really had. Like, I guess the belt and how the gearbox and everything works, and then just yeah, it's just like it's kind of the feeling that I've always kind of wanted in a bike. Like I've always struggled. That's why like we went when we had Norcos, like we went to the like high pivot with the and everything, just try and get the rail and kind of feeling, because I'd always take my chain off on the Norcos, the old Orums that I had,
Yeah.
and then I put the derailleur and the chain back on, and the bike just felt shit again. So then that's why we kind of designed that bike with an idler to try and help that. But you couldn't get rid of that feeling because obviously you still got that jacky kind of chunk.
Yeah. That bike seemed like a rough point in your career for you, the old Orem. It was didn't seem like it worked too well.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a bit of a poo time. Like, I felt like I just wanted to race with no, and the bike worked really well. Like
Yeah.
I did one time, and I remember Sam Hill was on the side of the track. He was still riding at the time,
Yeah.
and he was just like, "Fuck, they just look like the old Blenki." And I come in the section, I was just like, felt so sick. Just like the bike was working out of control, and you had to go way fast because they had no chain on.
Yeah.
But man, I wish I could just race like that. But obviously, the UCI they don't start without it.
You needed to have like a dodgy link on so it would just snap out of the gate and just leave it behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what Aaron Gwynn did that year. So.
Yeah. Oh man.
That's quite interesting, eh? That obviously, I mean, that just goes to show how much input the drivetrain has over the suspension. Like, I guess that you always hear about the clutch. They're like, oh, the clutch is so sticky and it interferes with suspension so much. If you get rid of that, and I guess that's why a lot of people are trying to go to that O-chain thing or trying different systems out to cancel that out, eh?
Yeah, but then you've still got the other problems of it's still not getting rid of it fully. You know, you've still got that chain sprung mass that kind of chatters around. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
in suspension in a way, in the same, like it's So that's why I guess the belt is kind of good.
Mm. It's interesting, eh? Like, to me, that's always been the huge advantage of the Zerode. Like, if you look outside the gearbox, so many people just see it as a gearbox bike, but the unsprung weight thing is really the killer. Like, I remember in the early days just fanging around on Dodsy's one, and like, yeah, it's definitely a different feel. And why would you not want the lightest, unsprung weight? Like, it's only an advantage.
Yeah, because I've obviously spent a lot of time now on Caterpillar as well, so that's the trail bike. It's the same thing. Like when I first rode that, like on the trails that I've ridden here in Christchurch, like thousands of times, like on all trail bikes. Like I just rode the trail that I always ride, and the first riding that I was just like, what the hell? Like it just felt so smooth, and I just felt like this bike was just making speed over all the thundery stuff. So I was just like, yeah, there's obviously something to do with this belt, or they've done something right, suspension or whatever, and I don't know, but it's not like I don't think it has a crazy linkage system. So it's like obviously something to do with the belt and how it works and the weight, the gearbox and everything. So yeah, they've done something right there with that stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like on the G3, I mean, when I rode the G2 years ago, it's like I remember the traction on that thing being insane, and like the braking traction you'd get as well. Like if you wanted to get hard on the brakes, like you could just anchor it up and they would stop so quickly. But at the same time, like obviously so controllable, so rapid that you can just have so much pace going. But no, it's pretty cool. Have you had much to do with Taylor Vernon? It's riding on the team this year as well.
Well, last year when we were both like kind of gypsies at all World Cup, him and his old man the World Cups, and we pretty much parked pretty much next to each other. Like,
oh yeah.
Cup. So yeah, I spent a bit of time with more hanging out with his old man because we were both mechanicking and stuff.
Yeah.
We're just yarn, and then and then obviously Taylor as well. So I've spent a bit of time with those guys already. So it'll be a pretty sick season, I reckon, because it's like I guess we were kind of privateers last year, and then kind of going into like the factory sort of side of it now, having a mechanic and
yeah.
set up, and that just makes things way easier. That was why I was getting, like, at the point last year, I was like, I don't really want to do World Cups again if I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Burnt me out. Like, obviously, being my own mechanic and then, traveling and that, and like just the mechanic blows you out, really.
It takes a lot out of you, like when you've finished a day of practice and you're like, fuck, I've got to change tyres, or I've got to like do this, got to, clean it. Even just like washing the bike is like, it just all takes away rest time and like prep for the next day.
Yeah, and I'm quite like I'd say, like, I don't want to leave anything like I don't want to be half-assed with anything.
Yeah.
So I pretty much do like a job like top mechanic would do. So I'd do a pretty good job, and then I'd get finished, and then I'd be like, fuck, I got to eat, and then go to bed. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, I should really walk the track, but then I'm like, I got to get my bike ready. So
Got bike stuff to do.
kind of like threw some things out the window with like that kind of stuff, like track prep, but then the bike prep was better. So, you can't really with that sort of side of it. So, yeah, it'd just be handy. Like, all I really wanted last year was just like someone to help do tyres and that,
Yeah.
And guys there, because I was pitting under the SA, so that was fine. But, yeah, just like tyres and wheels, and that just takes so much time. So it would be good this year just having, like, obviously the mechanic support that. And, yeah, being able to race properly, really, on a proper bike.
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
get you back into that wheelhouse of just actually full focus on racing rather than trying to deal with all the other bits and pieces.
Yeah, and spend like time on things that I should be, like, not on doing bloody tire changes and
He's choosing his words wisely.
take, like, tire, such stupid things that you don't need to be doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The what's the plan for traveling around? Have you still got your motorhome? Like, are you going to do that, or are you kind of going a little bit more lean this year since you've got pits and everything?
Yeah, for the first couple, I'll travel with those guys. So I'll get picked up in Glasgow, and then we'll just drive up, and then we've got a place there somewhere around Fort William, and then I'll just be staying with them, and then kind of doing normal stuff, and then Poland the same, and then Poland I'll get my motorhome, kind of travel around again. Kind of cool having, I guess it's like my house on wheels,
Yeah.
And then just park up the races or park where guys are staying, and yeah, I guess that's what I was doing as well. Same thing, just in the motorhome with, I guess, maybe his old man will come to some, or just him. So just makes things easy, You have your home on wheels, Like, I remember when I had the same motorhome in Booker, and they'd always put us in a place, but I'd prefer staying in the motorhome because I just like having the same bed every week and just not having to bloody live in a suitcase, really. It's like a suitcase on wheels, really, the motorhome, so it's kind of handy.
Just a big suitcase.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. I like it. It's big enough. There's like a pretty big garage and stuff, so it's pretty handy.
Where does that live during the off season?
It's in the mountains at Kevin's place from SR Suntour.
Oh yeah.
I don't know the name of the town. It's a pretty small little village, but yeah, he was good enough to let me leave it there, so I'm pretty stoked with that, and makes things way easier for me. And so I can just fly into Geneva, and it's like an hour and a half from there. So
yeah. Oh, that's pretty handy.
That's sweet, yeah. So, what's Taylor's setup? Has he got a big one as well, or is he just in a van?
I think it's his old man's one.
Oh, yeah.
He has a similar sort of setup. They have like a garage in the back for like the UK setup one, and then that's what they used last year. But I think that's what they're going to use again.
Sweet.
We're right into Lester's wheelhouse here of talking motorhomes.
I'm all about the motorhomes, eh?
Yeah, he's a big caravan association guy.
cheapest way to live, man.
I'd love to be able to bring it back to New Zealand because it'd be awesome to have here. But obviously the costs and everything shipping to New Zealand now is a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, the shipping costs gone right up, eh?
Yeah.
No good.
Before COVID, I think it was pretty good. So,
Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned SR Suntour, so you've kind of bought, like, obviously last year you kind of set up all your own sort of privateer sponsors and that, and like a few that have come along with you for a while, like Daddy and 510, and got SR Suntour on board. So have you kind of continued on with most of those brands again this season?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, everything. It was all my same stuff I brought over to just the Zerode program. So everything like IXS, HD, DT Swiss, Maxis, Hayes, SR Suntour.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, you've got a like pretty decent relationship going with all these brands, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's cool. That was the whole reason I was kind of going towards doing my own thing, really.
Yeah.
Get a relationship with the brands that I've been working in for so many years. Like obviously Didi I've worked with for pretty much my whole career, really. And they've been kind of dealing with all the other managers. And it was kind of funny, like, because Eric, the owner from Didi, he was like, "Oh, it's been funny. I've been working with you for so many years, but we've actually never talked." Like,
Yeah, that's funny, eh?
That's classic in the bike industry, though. Like, it happens so often.
he was such a big fan of me, and like, it's like it's sick to actually be working like with you properly now instead of like dealing with a manager and they were using my name to get like the whole stuff for the team thing. Cool, same like Zerode's doing that as well. Like obviously Hayes is coming over with the helping out for the whole team, and then I think Taylor has some of his sponsors that he's bringing over as well. So it's kind of cool. So it's not like a full, I guess, like factory team like how some teams are running, but kind of we can do our own kind of thing. So it's quite cool.
Yeah, it's quite good. So you've still got a bit of control over kind of what you're running, so you don't end up like. I mean, that's a trap you see with people quite often. Like mostly on the smaller teams where if they can get cash from someone, like if they can get cash for maybe some other tire brand that's not that good versus like paying for Maxis or something, they'll take that, and then you end up on shit tires or whatever. And so that's good. You can, kind of control that side a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Like some of the brands or some of the teams now, you see that, like you say. So it's good, like, that relationship that I've built with the brands, and obviously here having like Marlene and that, the Maxis, this is just handy, because literally just like tires, I couldn't imagine like having to be able like doing an order and then having to get everything shipped at home, just handy to be able to like sometimes I need one tire, so just quickly flip down the road and get a tire, That's
sweet.
Yeah, too.
It's a big shift, the old privateer thing, like across like all aspects of bike riding, really. People can cobble together a program and ultimately come out better off, like you might be getting XYZ money from a team, but if you go to those same sponsors and get money from each of them, you could end up with a bigger pool of money.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that for everyone, but it's certainly, there's a big move towards that. And there's so much, like you say, KB, there's so much freedom involved in that as well. You can make your own decisions. You don't have to answer to anybody.
Yeah.
And potentially you get paid more. So and you get to run the stuff you want to run.
Yeah, it's just having that, like, obviously the know of who to talk to and obviously the brands. That's why I guess I was lucky enough, because I've worked with these guys for so many years, and that's what makes it hard. Because like some brands, like you'd be working with someone for so many years, they leave.
Yeah.
New person, and they're like, "Oh, I've got to sell myself to them again." So it's like it's almost hard, like the brand do that kind of stuff. So it's cool. The owners that you kind of deal with and for so many years, and then I feel like those brands would be the ones that I have forever, you know.
That's always the constant challenge of those those key people you might have had years of like dealing with that one person, and then they go and the news person's like, actually nah, we don't have any space anymore, and you're like, fuck, you just left out in the cold, like what do you do now?
Yeah, we've allocated that budget.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah, classic line.
Yeah.
The budget's been cut.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, that way of life. But that's the industry we're in now.
Hey, it's kind of going back a step a little bit, and I mean, get into it as much as you want, but did the Crestline thing, like, did that leave you a little bit blindsided that they weren't going to continue on into this season, or was it sort of like a bit you were looking for something different anyway, or?
Yeah, they wanted to carry on, but they just didn't want us like do it on the same sort of scale.
Yeah.
Like literally, they came back at the end and they were like, "Oh yeah, we can still do some money and stuff like that." But I was already like, I kind of don't want to ride the bike anymore. I've already kind of changed my mind on that. So I was like, "Thanks for everything," and like the dudes were there were awesome.
Yeah.
Croydon and that and Mark, they're just like, it's just like working with your mates, you know. I felt like that was like, it would have been a cool thing to carry on, but yeah.
Do you reckon the Gwyn deal was already in play at that point, or did that come along later maybe?
No, that was probably late, like last minute, eh?
Yeah.
Like, it's like they wouldn't have, because it was only just not long. Well, it would have been, I guess they wouldn't have said anything to like, anyway. Otherwise, they would have just been like, oh, it's all good, we've got some.
Yeah.
So I guess that thing kind of just like came to place like last month, where Aaron was looking for something. I guess. And,
searching.
It is like at the moment, it's anything, you know. It's just the way it is.
Take what you can get scenario, eh?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I guess that's why I was kind of lucky with how everything fell into place, because like Zerode was starting this thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, shit, what am I going to do?
And
I'll just message Al.
Yeah.
Rang him. I literally was just like, what do you guys think? And he was like, man, cool. And then pretty much we didn't even sign anything. He's like, yeah, I'll send you the bike the next day.
Yeah, he seems pretty relaxed. Like, we did the podcast with him, and yeah, he seemed like, you know, they're obviously fully into it, and he's been deep in getting the whole thing running, but he seems pretty relaxed about it all at the same time. Like,
yeah, it's like literally like working with, I don't know, like your mate. I the gym, like, I ring him up. Oh, I need this. Okay, we'll send it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Literally, like, we've got this coming in. Here you go. And then he's like, oh, we've got another bike coming tomorrow for you. There you go. It's sweet. And it's like, just pretty chill, eh? It's pretty cool. Like, and for a New Zealand brand, that was my biggest thing. Like, I've known like Rob for so many like years. Grew up, I guess, watching him ride. Like when I was a kid, like I remember watching him at a slalom on his own bike.
Yeah.
Remember his style, just like ripping turns on this crazy bike that works so well. Something that he just made out of his garage and stuff, and it just like looked cool. And then he rode it so well. So it's like, it's cool to like kind of work for a brand and obviously see how, because I never knew how, like I'd always seen Zero around, but like see how big it is in New Zealand, like how many people actually have a Zero. Like shuttle day the other day up Mount Hutt, and pretty much bar like 3 bikes that were on the shuttle, they're all Zeros. There would have been like
crazy
8 of us.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pros and stuff, and then there was like 3 of the G3s, because there's not that many out yet, but it was pretty cool to see that many downhill bikes, like G3s there. And then there was like 5, there was Tunifars and the Kitapos, so it was cool. Like seen that many bikes. And then you'd probably see it in Nelson too, like the amount of trail bikes they have there. Like,
Yeah, you spot them just like sporadically, but yeah, even that, like you kind of don't expect it, and then you're like, oh yeah, there's one, like they just pop up.
yeah,
It feels to me like it's getting like a pretty good groundswell of cred offshore as well. Like I remember, you know, the kind of Gen 1 trail bikes that were around and that people kind of took big stabs at them internationally. I mean, I'm only going off the forums and the things that I read online, but, you know, they certainly seem to be getting a lot more cred now and a lot more people are riding them and realizing that there's something in this, you know, which is pretty cool to see, the growth for sure. And I guess, like, from the downhill aspect, Blenki, getting you guys on board, man, it's like pretty exciting time because it feels like the growth curve for the company is just starting to kick off on a global scale, you know, like I would say that numbers in New Zealand probably won't grow that much more for them, but it's only going to go big offshore, you know, like it's only just beginning, which is pretty cool.
I think all the sales they did in New Zealand, it was like the people that had like the G2 or stuff like that. They were just like the frothers that were like, oh, I love the Zerode, so I just want to get the next generation that come in, and that's what they just sold out straight away.
Right, yeah.
Those, and that's the same like now. But now, like I was saying, like after I did Hardline, he just had so much interest from overseas. Like he just couldn't believe it. It was like all the people that were just had interest in the bike and wanted to get one or wanted to get them over like overseas and stuff. And just it was good to like have kind of, I guess, that input and that sort of thing. So it's cool to get the name out there for them, and we'll see at the World Cups and stuff, and then obviously the rest of the races how I think goes for them. This whole thing with Gates is pretty cool too. Like they're pushing a lot.
Yeah.
Try and obviously grow the brand with the belt and everything, and it's cool to see like a big company like that, which is massive, you know. So like they do belts for everything, you know. So pushing into the bike industry is pretty cool.
Yeah, it seems like the bike industry is probably such a small market for them, but they still seem real invested in it. Like you think of belt-driven bikes versus like probably all the automotive style stuff that they sell, like $1 billion kind of industry compared to peanuts. But they seem, so they're doing like $100,000 like World Cup podium bounty or something like that.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
that's sick.
Yeah, so it's like the first person that can win. World Cup. And I think it's either male or female. So,
I saw Intense. John Hall, Gwynn's old mechanic, was riding a pinion equipped M1 downhill bike last weekend. So, maybe they're trying to push into it. I mean, Louise Ferguson, if she was on one, she could have some potential to win a World Cup.
That'd be interesting, eh? It could be like a team thing. How are we going to raise our money for next year? We're going to build a bike just to win a World Cup.
Yeah,
get the bounty.
Get some money.
Whoever said he would try for the middle one that he has on his pivot.
Oh yeah,
just the one belt.
Yeah,
that's classic.
It makes sense, like because most bikes are pretty, I guess, they don't feel that great. So then you take a derailleur and put the belt on there. Got to design it around the gearbox and everything.
Yeah,
makes the bikes ride definitely a lot nicer.
It'd be interesting to ride something like the like that Intense and ride like a derailleur version versus a gearbox version when they've got both of them. Like actually ride those back to back and see how much difference it made. That'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be quite a bit, eh?
That'd be interesting. Segueing on to, you'd mentioned Hardline before. We talked a bit about Hardline on one of the previous shows, but good to get someone's take who was actually there. And I've probably got like an hour long amount of questions I could ask you about it. But how was Tassie for Hardline? Because you've done Wales as well, so like good course, good event.
Yeah, it was sick. I actually haven't done Wales before.
Have you not? I thought you had
3 times, but I've been injured, and then the other 2 times I just didn't go because I had to come home.
Yeah.
My baby was coming.
Fair enough.
The other time, my wife just said I had to come home. So,
Yeah, that happens. It's happened to all of us.
and I broke my ribs and cracked the hip, so I couldn't go to the one. I was actually going to go ride it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was sick. Like, obviously, I'd never been to Tasmania before, so it was kind of cool just to go there. Like, I was meant to go there for the enduro back, but before I did that, so I didn't get to go. So it was cool to actually go there and check it out just to see what it's like too. And then the track, the first day, like walking it was insane. Like going to the top of the mountain, walking down the trail, just seeing these jumps that were like freaking, like when you walk them, I don't think it, like when you walk things, it's way more, probably worse.
Yeah.
You know how big everything was? It was
Yeah.
way bigger. Then when we rode it, it was actually quite not that bad, but
Yeah.
most of the big features, like the road gaps and that, the only thing I can really think about, like, I've fall like that, is like jumping off a cliff into water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just that wind feeling,
Yeah.
and then but you're not hitting the water real hard, but you're hitting the landing, but it's not that hard. And it's just like, so it was like that. That was this thing, but it was more like the littler jumps were the harder ones, like the little ticky ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, after you ticked everything off, like that first 2 days, I feel like it was just a trail you could ride all day. It was like one of the sickest tracks I've ever ridden. Like, had things in it that, like, it was like riding 3 different trails. Like, we had sand at the top. It was kind of like, I don't know, like a beach sort of style. It was like, just guess that hummusy rock, it just breaks up and it just turns into sand. And then it was kind of like Rotorua in the middle. It was like kind of clay, ferny kind of stuff. And then it got a talcum powder Christchurch kind of bottom with no traction.
Yeah.
It didn't pack in or anything. So it was like kind of the worst stuff for building jumps. But then it was like clay, sticky clay at the bottom too again. So I was like, yeah, it was pretty sick. Like, I had a real good time. Like, it was cool. Just the Red Bull guys do things really well. Like, obviously they just pick us up, we turn up and just ride our bikes, and they've got everything else sorted. So I feel like for me, like, into the future, those events like are definitely like a must do for me, like, for sure, because it's just like, you just ride your bike and have fun, and they do everything else, and hopefully don't die on the jumps or anything. But pretty fun. It's cool. Like, it's a cool vibe. Like, everyone that goes, we all like ride together. Like, the first day is like kind of like a media day, so you just like,
Yeah.
we ride all the jumps. Probably, like, I think you have to hit everything like 2 or 3 times, and then it's good for the photographers and like filmers and everything, because then they get,
Yeah.
and then we work our way down to the next jump, next section, turn or whatever, and then so it's pretty cool. And then everyone just rides together. It's just like a jam session, really.
Yeah.
So, like, working your way down and then just ride like that, pretty much. So it's pretty cool the first day, and then you have lunch, hang out, and then the next day, or day 3, you can do like full laps if you want to. And then we started just doing full laps, and then we're doing like trains or whatever. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Good way to do it. Sure. Like, way more enjoyable than like going to a World Cup where it's like kind of stressful, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I guess the hardline's stressful because you're like worried about the jumps and that, but it's more fun. You're like, everyone's hanging out. Like, after practice, like, everyone hangs out. It's just kind of like, we go and have food together, whatever, you know, and watch our footage, or all the photographers give us whatever and filming and stuff. So at a World Cup, it's all pretty like, you know, you're working on your own.
Yeah. Once the day's done, everyone's gone their separate ways and you don't talk to anyone. And
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of like everyone's in their own little bubble with their teams and that. So trying to work on that, and then almost like secrets, you know, like, oh,
yeah.
let that line get out there or whatever, you know. but then within the team, it's all right. And it's different if you've got mates, on the teams. They kind of help you out as well. But it's just different environment.
Mm.
So it's cool.
Was there any point on riding on the day that it rained? It looked like it was pretty pointless. Looked like it just tore up the track.
Yeah, it was a bit of a. I guess they just needed to do like kind of yeah. Well, it was kind of sketchy at the top. It was lucky it was sandy, but then there was like the clay bits. You like almost died.
Yeah.
Bumps at the bottom you couldn't ride because it was just like this clay that just stuck to your bike and you couldn't even roll. Like it just stuck your bike to the ground. I remember just have to like sprint into that like the road gap just to try and make it. I was freaking out.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, and then you couldn't even see. Like it was real cold that day too, so we're all sitting hovering around like in the hut at the top, like this little tent. And I think they brought us like jerseys, so we all shared like jerseys, went around, and then the person put the drop in, and your goggles are all like bloody fogging up, wet. So it was a bit of a like shit show, but that's just racing,
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like race day came around, it was perfect, so it was good.
Yeah. You so you finished up 8th there. Pretty happy with that?
Yeah, it was all good. Like I made a few mistakes in the middle section, and it was quite close. I think it was only like a second, and I would have been like 5th or.
Oh man,
So
Wow.
that's a long track to like be that tight. It was pretty decent length.
yeah. I guess because we all kind of rode together, so we're all pretty much similar, right? And then yeah, it was just at the middle section I kind of made a mistake, like bubbled, washed the corner, and lost a bit of the like speed out. So I kind of lost a bit of time there, but it was just fun, Still just fun riding the bike and just enjoyed it really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick. Hey Sam, what's your opinion on like the risk versus reward kind of coming into a season? Like, obviously, Goldstone's basically out now for the year. What's your take on that? Like, obviously, Hardline has a whole bunch of media, a whole bunch of credibility. Like a win at Hardline is a legit thing. But for someone like, say, Jackson or, yourself, is it worth risking the rest of your season for?
Well, I don't know. It's not. We're all riding about the same, just the way Jack's riding, and it was just like a freak thing. Like he could have got away with it, but that's just his riding style,
Mm.
Because he's like that far, like standing up. Once he does go over, it's huge because he's like going like that quick, and But he could have walked away and been fine, It's just it could have happened to anyone. Like in practice, in the wet day, like Brooke come into like the drop, and I don't know how he stopped before the drop, but he like slid and hit a tree. And there's like a drop with a wooden bridge, like you have to park off it, and he was like tree, and then he almost didn't stop, and I went to grab him because I was on there looking. I was like, if he would have been, because it's like a 2-story building.
Yeah.
No way.
But unless he would have jumped onto the landing and maybe he would have slid it.
Yeah.
So it's just like accident, and it's like oh, Jackson shouldn't go ride his trail bike today because he might crash, but he's got a whole season. It's the same thing,
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, eh? Like, I don't know. We've talked about it on the pod before, and it's just such an interesting thing because you totally can understand both sides of it.
Yeah.
And there's no right or wrong. It's just like you say, things happen, and he could walk across the road and blow his knee stepping off a curb. It's a crazy thing.
I shouldn't be riding down all this because I got the World Cup season coming up, but I want to go ride and test some things.
Yeah, you've got to at the same time.
Yeah, I guess the difference, is that Hardline. I mean, I'd be interested to hear your opinion on this as well. But it looked like Tassie was quite a bit easier of a course than Wales.
Yeah. They mellowed it down like it was going to be.
Yeah.
impossible.
So I heard that they'd shortened some of the jumps considerably, but was there other stuff they'd changed as well?
The last jump there was like a last jump. It was like 30 meters or something,
Yeah.
or 30 foot or something. They shortened it or whatever. So it's quite a lot.
And even that, it still looked like that was like you were pretty much on the limits, kind of making over it.
Yeah, I think Brooke would have made it in practice because he
Yeah, he went real deep.
Oh yeah.
and yeah, like some of the days we had like headwind, we only just hit it at like 75 kilometers an hour. They had
Holy shit.
so if you weren't hitting, some people were like 73 and tagging the top. So it was
Man,
like,
that's gnarly.
so it's like pretty fast, you know,
Yeah.
mucking around.
Yeah,
So
your
like,
Garmin on coming in, tuck, just checking your Garmin to make sure you're doing 75.
like the wind aspect, so they made it a bit safer for that. And then because after there was supposed to be a big shark fin, that was huge as well. Like another bigger jump at the bottom they were going to have as well. So I guess they'll just like improve on it because there's like things, the other places the guy at the build they're like, oh, we could go in here and it could be even sicker with the rock and stuff. So
Yeah.
didn't have enough time to like literally they were building when we're walking it, you know.
Nah, shit.
Wow.
Ran out of time because they had to spend so much time on the bottom jumps because like obviously Dave got injured, you know, trying, and they had to spend so much time rebuilding that stuff. Like it's a lot of money, you know, put into like an event like that. And
Yeah.
they did a real good job for the first year, honestly. Like,
Yeah, that's sick.
like when you think about like Wales have had like
Yeah, it's pretty far in now.
it's like 8 years or something crazy. So they've had a lot of time to like adjust. Because I remember the first year, you remember everyone was dying on like the hip ones.
That was so
Yeah.
gnarly, yeah.
Killed. So like
Oh.
now they've gone gnarly, but like it's safe enough, I guess.
Yeah. They were like classic Dan Atherton stuff. Like he's so technical that he could ride this weird, like these weird angled hips and stuff, and then everyone else was just getting smoked on them.
Yeah.
Just back on that, it's actually 10. They've done 10
Yeah.
races in Wales now. That's
Holy shit.
massive, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. Especially when you think back to what the bikes were like back at the first one. That's probably why everyone was dying too. Like
Yeah.
2014.
way different.
Did they even have disc brakes in 2014? Like,
You probably weren't even born yet, KB.
feels like a long time ago.
It was halfway into my season, World Cup season. I've only done 19 or 20 years. 19.
You're on season 19 this year. I worked out.
Wow.
I was like, just before I was counting them up, and I was like, yeah, this is 19. It's
So
Wow.
who's going to be racing this year? Who's been doing it longer than you? Greg?
it's probably about it.
I think Mick's going to do a couple.
Oh, yeah.
But there's no one still full time like doing like the whole season other than Greg, I would say, that's been at it longer.
No. Well, there's got to be some other. No, I don't know.
Yeah, man, there's no one I can think of. Like no one that's been. I mean, what was 06 was like your first pretty much full season. Like, there's not many people that have hung around still since then.
Yeah. Like the old doggo.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That
innings,
makes me
mate.
feel very old. I mean, I am very old now.
Oh,
I just feel it.
like I'm not like just going for another. Just like this to start again. You know? I'm going again, but it's still fun.
Yeah,
I think that's why it's kind of cool working with the Zerode, the new bike, because it's like a new thing, like the gearbox,
keeps you fresh.
suspension, and everything, and getting to ride and just still learning things all the time. Like if it was the same every year, like nothing changing, then I'd be like, this
True.
average or not the same. And then now it's cool seeing all the kids that are coming through as well, like those younger kids in New Zealand here. We've got freaking insane.
Some serious talent coming through now, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, so it's cool. Like they're going to push us, and then they're pushing themselves. So just hopefully they don't push themselves over the edge and destroy themselves before they get to even get it.
It's a guy like Lockie. I mean, we haven't seen anyone come through like that for, I don't know, it feels like years. You know, he won every race this season basically.
Yeah.
So it's like in New Zealand, like he's on one. So it's, and then there's all these other like even, well, not even faster, but you know, like all these young kids coming up out of under 17 and even still in just in under 17. So like, we got some good talent boiling up, which is good.
Yeah, it's cool. Can't wait to see what Lockie will do at the World Cup. Like his run at Rotorua, I felt like that was like it would have been definitely a podium World Cup run for sure. Like if not like near winning, like so it'd be cool for them like on form at the races this year. So it's cool. And all the other kids like the juniors, seeing how the juniors go at the World Cups as well with Tyler and those kids and Ollie and yeah, it's going to be cool to see, for sure.
Yeah, it's I had quite a good chat to Damien from Yeti, the Yeti team manager in Rotorua at Crankworks about Tyler and that, and I was saying to him, you know, it feels a bit like a young Blenki coming through onto the team, same sort of thing, but like 18 odd years later, it's like this young, absolutely rapid kid. So it's cool. I think he's got a real good place to build his, you know, kind of build start of his career up with those guys.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best places for sure. Like, they're definitely a good family, the Yeti crew.
Mm.
Like I always said like they were like a family to me.
Yeah,
it was always like home, you know. Like even the owner, like Chris Conroy's like still like, you know, a mate, and same with Damien too. Still like at all the races, you still joke around with him. So it's cool like to see another Kiwi coming through on that team, and yeah, it's a good place to start for sure. But also like it is it's good to see that they're pushing the downer bike again. So
yeah,
and then obviously Mick too, like doing some World Cup stuff, and then yeah, the bike looks pretty good too, so it's cool.
It's going to be probably pretty quiet if you know, conversation with Richie and Tyler. They're both pretty quiet dudes. Won't be much conversation.
Pretty good, yeah. You just got to get him going, you know, and there's a good yarn.
I went for a ride with him when he was in Nelson, and I finally got him going when we started talking about power numbers, and then he was on. He was in his element then. So
go on, KB. What's he running?
He didn't disclose, but I'd say there's some pretty good watts that are coming out.
I'd love to see that dude's like 32nd day or even minute. That'd be insane.
Yeah. So 19th season this year. What do you reckon you've got left in you? More after this? Year by year?
Well, my wife was saying the other day, she reckons I've got 4.
Well, there you go.
More.
You've got permission.
Oh shit! Thanks, hon. I'm really thinking that many, but if you say it, then why not?
Was she yelling at you at the time? Like, you've got 5 more years? No way.
It was like, this year, I reckon 5 more.
Wow, I mean, hey, that would be epic. You know, like who knows what's going to happen this year? Like you get to have a blinder, and like you say, you're feeling fresh and ready. So it's cool.
I'm just living in the moment, really. Not like this could be my last year. Maybe next year is the last year. I'm just like just riding the wave, really.
Yeah.
Like the racing part of it, like being away from the family and that's the hard part. That's why it's cool this year. Like the family's coming over this year with me, so they won't be at all the races, but they'll be living obviously in London in the UK, so kind of closer, so I can just pop backwards and forwards to see them and stuff. So, and then we'll have like obviously a bit of the time they'll travel to the World Cups in the motorhome and that, because my wife did it with them with the 2 kids 2 years, and she spent like 6 months in the motorhome too. So she was like, yeah, nah.
your wife is a saint. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
how she does it. I don't know how she flies to Europe with 2 kids. Like,
Oh,
that's my
yeah,
worst
that's brutal.
nightmare.
Yeah, but that's why I'm obviously going to Zerode next week, and then I'm coming back for 2 days, and then I'm flying with the whole family over. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing it again by myself.
You're fair call.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That is.
It's all good. It's all flying with, they just love it. It's
Yeah.
like a little holiday for them. Just seeing them watching, like, getting their food and
Mm.
watching their program, and then Blake starts going nuts and he wants to run around, and then the air host is like, just, who's this kid? We're like,
Not ours.
get with him. So, it's all part of it. I guess it's cool traveling around. They'll get to look at it when they're older, and they'll be like, oh, we got to travel around the world when we were younger. Because
Oh, man, it's
Yeah,
epic
that's
life experience for them.
yeah,
yeah, totally. You
It's
can't
like,
you
even
can't
if
replace that.
even if they don't remember it all, it's like you've still got all the pictures and videos and that sort of stuff. And when they're older, looking back on that, it's pretty awesome.
yeah. Like my daughter, she's 5 this year, so she'll remember it.
Mm.
She still remembers like when she was over there last year and stuff. So it's cool.
Awesome.
They're well, speaking of 5, I mean you must be 35 at the moment. You'll be 36 this year.
So
Yeah, so it gets to that point. Did you still think this would be you at this age? Like, it's like when you're 20, you're like 35 feels so ancient, but when you're 35, you're like, I feel like I'm still 20.
yeah,
That's how I feel. But
I was probably thinking when I was like 18, 19, I'd be like, yeah, I'll do it till I'm 30.
yeah,
And then I was like, oh, 30. And then I was like, oh, same. Still feel the same, like I'm 18.
yeah,
I'm 6 now or whatever.
yeah,
Be 50, I don't even know. It's, as long as you're doing the same stuff and not feeling old.
yeah,
Once you start thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this or whatever, that's when you hang the shoes up and
yeah.
go and mash the keyboard.
You clearly still love it, so that's a good sign.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's like some days you're like, fuck, what am I doing? Like, sometimes you're like, that's why I kind of try and keep it like free training stuff. I do different stuff and it's like kind of, it's like, you're like, day off, it's like hard. But then also like the hard stuff is kind of the cool part of it,
Mm.
It's like almost the easy part in the way. Because you've done ready for the season. But then not like you're training in the week and then you get to ride your downhill bike and you're like, oh, this is the cool part.
Yeah,
But then you
Yep.
get oh fuck, the shuttle, or like the lift, you go to the and then the lift is closed because the wind's there or whatever, or
mm.
track's not open, so you're like, should have went for it. But then there's the days like I rode the other day in the bike park and I was like, I think I did like, I rode like most of the day. I did like 12 something runs. End of the day, and I was like, fuck, that was the sickest day riding ever. Like the first lap I did on one track, because the track wasn't open, they didn't open the GC at the time in the venture park.
Yeah,
It was just like finally opened up, and I rode some other track, and I was like, oh fuck, what am I doing? Because it was like a traverse trail. I was like, this is horrific. I'm just gonna go home. And then I went into the thing, and I was like, oh, is it okay if I ride the GC? And they're like, yeah, sweet. So I started riding it, and then I was just like, I had so much fun on the downhill bike.
yeah,
The track was kind of a bit blown out because obviously they've had no rain here and whatever.
yeah,
But once I started cutting it in, I just had more fun, tried different things in the shocks and everything, and I just had a really enjoyable day. It was almost like a summer's day. It was like hot. It was like perfect. Nice
yeah.
wind.
Ideal.
Yeah. The
Um,
days like that make it worth it for sure.
we've had a pretty good Ed Masters story and pretty good Windmasters story. But I reckon, have you got a Brooke McDonald story you can tell us before we sign off? Something that is PC.
I don't even know, man. I've got like,
There's probably too many of them. You have to go through the library.
there's probably a memory block.
I threw this on you. I didn't give you any warning. Sorry.
I'll just the one that I always remember. This is like when I started kind of riding with Brooke. This is just like when we're riding, like a riding memory that I've told like on a podcast before. I don't know. It's just like, this is the thing I remember. It's just what Brooke is like. We were riding in Rotorua, and I remember it's the same track that we pretty much raced on at Crankworks. We've raced for years.
Yeah.
Time Brooke was on. He might have been on the Angelotti
Yeah.
Junior. I think we had our net there, and it was like practice or something. We were just riding, and he come into this section. I was following him. It was the same bit like where I went off the track last year at Crankworks. Like I went outside the tape, so like where the main bit where all the crowd was watching this year.
Yeah.
You come into that section, and there was like, at the time there was like this punga kind of stump, like kind of crank height. That section, he just like, he must have not have seen the punga or anything. He just come in there like pinned as like drifting the stump, cartwheeled down the hill. I think no, he rode the front. Somehow he rode the front down into the section, and then there was a big punga at the end, and he just like collected the punga and just like fully like charged it like he was charging someone like me, just like fully got up, sweet as nothing, just like bloody hell, like the in his way. It was got back on his bike, nothing. If that was me, my shoulder would have been ripped off. Probably concussed or something wrong with me, broken shoulder for sure. He got back straight on his bike. Next section, pinned as straight away. Same thing, cartwheel, boom. And he gets back on the bike. Oh fuck, man! What, man? Just angry as back on the bike, just still pinning it. And I'm just like, just happened in like freaking like 30 seconds. There's two massive ones. Didn't even like stop and say anything. Just get straight on the bike. Fun. It's just like, I've had like other moments. Same thing like at World Cups. I've had the same thing with him. Like following him, crashes, gets back on the bike, and then just crashes again.
I think when we did the episode with Greg Bernard, it was a pretty similar one. He was talking about in Val de Sol, and it was like the same thing, pretty much. Like Brooke just has like this huge crash, gets back on, keeps going, has like another huge crash, gets on, just keeps going. He's just like, what the fuck? Like, how's this guy still going?
Well, I guess it's just like his life, you know. Same thing. Like broke his back.
Yeah.
If it was anyone else, would probably say, "Oh, career's over." And, like, look at him now, still pinned, could win race, can win, and just still loving.
Yeah. Carries on.
Other direction, you know, like probably depressed or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
With Bob and saying what could have happened, what could have happened, or what could have done.
For sure.
Out there enjoying it.
Certainly, like you've got to wonder, like people like him who battle back from like about as far away from being an athlete as you could be and get back to the top. You know, hopefully he can go out under his choice. You know, like when it's time, and just be like, "Sweet, I've had a good time," and walk away, rather than an accident like that forces you out. Like it's got to be such a different play for the years to come, and like.
Yeah,
you go out with a positive attitude instead of a resentment.
Yeah,
it'd be such a different thing.
I don't even know, like he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
Like he's like even like he still runs, like he can't run that properly yet, but he had like a scuff for so long and whatever, and see him on the bike, and he just like like him at Hardline this year. I was like, shit, he's still ripping.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he still looks the same. Like I reckon, like his style and that hasn't changed. You know, like it didn't really affect him like that once he was back and going again.
Yeah, I think once he's like when he's on a bike that he likes and stuff, and then he's feeling, he's just like
rapid.
Yeah. Oh, that's was bloody good. Thank you, Sam. Great. I like the positivity on the Zerode. I'm looking forward to seeing what this season holds. I mean, clearly you've still been fast for 19 plus years now, but I'm looking, well, hopefully we can watch it somehow, but looking forward to seeing how it goes for you guys anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, hopefully everyone can watch it on these deals.
Yeah, we might have to try and catch up for like a mid-season catch-up too, I reckon. See how it's going midway through.
Yeah, for sure, keen as.
Sweet. Alrighty. Thanks, mate. Good to have you on again. And thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.
What's up?
I come from the land of down on I can't hear you. What was that? I can't hear you. I let it be like John Lennon, the anti-serum that you don't get for poisonous venom. Read the label carefully, I'm only here for the show. I love hip-hop too much to let you feed my ego. In the key of F-U-C-K, Y-O-U. I mean, why do I owe you if you're not helping me through? I mean, why do I owe you if you're obstructing my view? Success is not my castle, just a house that's brand new. You see, I irrigate the culture, give it shape like a sculpture. Still complicated, rock like I'm supposed to. B-L-I-T-Z like my DJ. Rock to the rhythm like you rock to what he plays.